This is Top of the Morning. I'm Steve Izant.
And I'm Jacqueline Massaro.
We are here on board the Constellation in beautiful downtown Baltimore. It's a wonderful day, the Inner Harbor.
It is. It's absolutely beautiful today. I can't imagine a more beautiful day. You got the aquarium, all the food shops. It's beautiful.
It's a great trip. If you haven't been to the Inner Harbor recently, we've got some music and other things happening behind us, but our show today is going to take place on the Eastern Shore. And guess where we're going, Jack?
Where are we going?
Well, we're going to Chestertown.
I've never been to Chestertown.
Well, you go north on 301 to get to Chestertown, but don't touch that dial because we're going to be right back. And so, here we go. I'm Steve Izant. We're at the Chestertown Farmers Market and Fair. We're going to see a lot of fun things. We have some produce coming up, some flowers, we have some crafts. It's all here at Chestertown. This fair starts in April. It's every Saturday, and it runs all the way through Christmas. So if you want to do a nice day trip, Chestertown's on the Eastern Shore. It's only about an hour's drive away from Baltimore. Let's take a look and see what's inside. We're back. We're on the historic ship, the Constellation, in the Inner Harbor of beautiful downtown Baltimore. And there's a lot going on, as you hear in the background. You may hear some ship crew voices. There's some music on land. But we're not going to stay on the ship forever.
No, but it does create a great atmosphere.
It certainly does. It almost feels like you could be part of the crew here at the Constellation.
It does.
But we spent enough time here. Let's go to the Eastern Shore. Let's take a look on the Eastern Shore.
Hi, top of the morning and cheers.
Hi, I'm Steve Izant. We're on the road. Today we're in Chestertown. We're about to go over this bridge. Chestertown's on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. We're going to see some great things today. We're going to see the Sultana, which is a yacht. We're going to see the Farmers Market. We're going to see some historic things in Chestertown. It's on Maryland's Eastern Shore, so come on, let's go across the bridge.
I'm Owen McCoy. I am the market manager. The market was started in 1982 with just a few people by Jamie Godion was the name of the lady who started. And I took over 2 or 3 years later, and we've been running it ever since, and it's grown into what we have now. We just started the last 2 years. We've started the last 2 weekends in March. We expanded over the years till we started in the 1st of April. Now we're going the last 2 weekends of March, and we go till Christmas time. The hours are 8 to 12 every Saturday, rain or shine. And then we do an extra market before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and depending on when Christmas falls, sometimes we'll do an extra market also.
I'm Heather Collins. You can find us here at the Farmers Market from the weekend before Easter until Christmas Eve. I'm one of about 25 artisans here. You can find, I do hand-painted glassware. We have jewelers, we have beaders, we have photographers, we have people who do prints. Come check us out. We start at 8 in the morning and we go till 1 in the afternoon every Saturday, weather permitting. You can reach me at naturesart@rocketmail.com. You're here from the week before Easter up until Christmas Eve, every Saturday, as long as weather's permitting. So you can find 20 to 25 local artisans. The farmers market, we have bread, we have gourds, we have, just a cake.
Well, Jackie, how did you like that clip?
It was really cool. There's like such a really cool place, and you have all those little towns. It really is a little gem.
Well, it is interesting, and a lot of people know about Chestertown. So it's a great little town, as you can see by that prior clip.
Yeah, I would definitely take a day trip down there.
I think it's well worth doing. So we've got another clip coming up, though, so let's take a quick look. We're down on the wharf on the Chester River. Behind me, you see a buy boat. A little bit to my left, your right, is what's called a skipjack. And behind us is the Sultana. We're going to be going on the Sultana in just a moment. We're going to interview the president and captain of the Sultana. It's a very interesting story, so please stay with us. We're on board the Sultana. We're here with Drew McMillan. He's president of the Sultana Foundation, if I'm using that term correctly. And first thing our viewers probably want to know is, tell us about the original Sultana.
The original Sultana was a merchant ship. It was built up in Boston in 1768, and it was pretty small. And right after it was built, it was bought by the Royal Navy to enforce the tea taxes. And that's why it's such a special boat, because when the Royal Navy got a hold of it, they kept meticulous records. So between 1768 and 1772, we know everything the boat did every day, the name and birthplace of every person who was on it. And it's a great window, it's a great snapshot on American history in the years leading right up to the Revolution. The other great thing about Sultana as an artifact historically is the British did a survey of her, and they recorded in detail how the boat was built. And it was one of the few times that anyone did a recording of American shipbuilding before the American Revolution. And as a result, the boat that we're standing on is an almost exact replica. Almost everything about it is exactly the same as the original.
Oh, that's fascinating. So tell us about the current Sultana and its history, how it got started.
Yeah. The new Sultana was the idea of shipwright John Swain. And back in the mid-90s, he had the idea that it would be a great thing for a small colonial town like Chestertown that was a historic port. This town was founded as a port, to have some vestige of that history on the waterfront. So in other words, to build the type of ship that used to come to Chestertown. And because there were so few examples of that type of ship, Sultana was one of about 7 or 8 boats of the right size that there was any real information about. So that's how it started. It became, really it started rolling in about 1997, and it moved very quickly. It was very well received by the town, and believe it or not, by 1998 we were building, and by 2001 it was launched.
And when you say built, shipwrights or local citizens?
The boat was built by 4 professional shipwrights, and then about a crew of maybe 50 volunteers, of which maybe 10 would be working on the boat at any one time. And it was over about 350,000 man-hours to build the boat, a large majority of which were volunteers. That's the only way you could afford something like this, really.
I understand.
Because there's just so much work to it.
I understand you have some great educational programs to help students and people that want to know more about just the Chesapeake and the Sultana.
Yeah. Even before we started building Sultana, we knew that it couldn't just sit at the dock in Chestertown. There has to be a purpose for it, and the purpose for this boat from the inception was education. You think of the Eastern Shore as being riddled with waterways, and there really is so much water around here, but you would be shocked the percentage of students in elementary school on the Eastern Shore who've never been out under the Chesapeake Bay. And that's why this boat exists. This boat exists to take 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, primarily from the Eastern Shore, out for educational programs on the Chesapeake Bay. And she takes about 5,000 students out each year.
In terms of if someone wants to contact you about more information on the educational program, or actually to visit the Sultana website, emails, what's the best way to contact us?
Probably the best way to learn more about what we do is our website, which is sultanaprojects.org, or just call our phone number 410-778-5954. We always get questions from the public, is there a way that I can get on board? I'm not a 5th grader. And we do public sales on the weekends, and there are a lot of opportunities for just the general public to get on and go sailing.
One more thought before we leave and ask you for any last thoughts. Is Sultana here all summer, or does she visit other ports?
She spends about a third of her time in Chestertown, and then she visits almost every port she can get into in Maryland. So she goes to Annapolis, Baltimore, St. Michael's, Oxford, Cambridge, St. Mary's, we go to DC, we go down to Virginia. So we're traveling much of our season.
Drew, we have a couple of interesting boats behind us. What I think is called a buy boat and a skipjack. What can you share with us about those two boats?
Well, we're on Chestertown's Cannon Street Pier, which is a real center for wooden boats that do education. In addition to Sultana, you have right now two beautiful historic boats owned by Echo Hill Outdoor School. The skipjack Ellsworth, which is a 1901 boat, and the buy boat Annie D, which I believe is a 1950s boat. And both of those are used to take kids out and teach them about the bay, teach them about the Chester River.
Well, for those of you that aren't familiar with the term buy boat, can you tell us a little bit about what a buy boat did?
You know, before the advent of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, if you were on the eastern shore, a lot of the transportation was done by water. So a buy boat is really like an 18-wheeler of the water. The term buy boat comes specifically from when that type of boat used to go out to the skipjacks and buy the oysters off the skipjacks and bring them back into port, and that way the skipjacks could return to oystering. They didn't have to come to port every time they filled up. So that's one of the reasons why they're called a buy boat.
And I know that there aren't many skipjacks and buy boats left.
No, there's actually a really active fleet of buy boats. It's called the Chesapeake Bay Buy Boat Association, and they are now private recreational boats, but they are the historic artifacts. So that's how those are being preserved. And there used to be hundreds and hundreds of working skipjacks, and now we're probably, in terms of working skipjacks, the number is very small, probably under 10. And there are maybe 20 or 30 in total left in the Chesapeake Bay.
That's amazing. Yeah. It's been great talking with you. Any last thoughts before we go to break?
I wish it was like this every day in Chestertown. I wish it was sunny and breezy and warm like this.
It's not like this every day?
It's like this a lot, but this is pretty nice.
This is pretty nice. Well, we're back. Wasn't that an interesting clip of the Sultana?
It was.
It's a wonderful actual working ship there on the Chester River, Chestertown, and you can go sailing on it. They have a website. If you just Google Sultana in Chestertown, it'll come right up.
That's really cool.
It is pretty neat. It's a ship that's smaller, of course, than the Constellation, but it's a replica of the real Sultana that was, maybe the late 17th century that sailed on the Chesapeake.
Wow.
It's pretty neat.
That is neat.
It is neat. We're going to take a short break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Jackie, there's one more thing that we want to share about the Eastern Shore.
What is that?
Well, it's an easy day trip. You know, some folks, if they want to get a change of pace or feel like a vacation, they think they have to fly somewhere, but you don't have to do that.
Really?
No, you just drive across the bridge. It's right only an hour and a half away, whether you're going to Chestertown or St. Michael's or any of the other small towns on the Eastern Shore. It's only a morning's drive away.
And I bet it's not really even that expensive.
Well, it's not. It's not. Gas prices are down these days, and so if you're thinking about a trip for the summer, that's where you ought to go, is the Eastern Shore.
That is fantastic.
It is pretty neat. A lot of entertainment on the Eastern Shore. Baltimore, can we ask you, we're filming in Chestertown, can we ask you a couple questions about your...
Okay, I'll do my best to answer you.
Okay.
I have a cold, go right on.
And what's your name, please?
Betty Kane.
We're with Betty Kane. We have some very colorful pillows and throws and things. Tell us a little bit about this, please.
Oh, I was born and raised in Chestertown, and I just came across a little crocheting business. It's so much fun and rewarding. And what else can I say? I just love it. I can't stop crocheting now. And if I could think of so many more things, I think I would have a few more things out here.
Well, that's all. You're doing fine now. Betty, if people would like to get in touch with you, how could they get? Do you have a phone number or a website?
Yes, my phone number is 410-778-2699. My business is totally different.
Totally different, okay. And you're a Chestertown native. We haven't run into too many natives here.
We were born and raised right back there in Court Street. And that was a black neighborhood at the time. And it's a Lawyer Road now.
A Lawyer Road,
A Lawyer Road.
Has the town changed much over the years?
Of course, yes. Lots. It didn't change a lot. But for the best, so what can we say? For the best, yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Well, we have some very colorful pillows here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I hope they come out good because I'm not used to it.
You did good. You did great.
You did great. Ask you a little bit about the artwork. Is that the artist?
Yeah, this is the artist's artwork. His name is Rob Dye.
We'll stand next to you there. And what's your name?
Rob. I'm his wife, Becky.
Becky, okay.
And he paints with hot tea.
We're here with Becky and Rob Dye. Rob is the local Chestertown artist.
Yes.
Hard at work.
Hard at work. He paints with hot tea generally. There's some other things, pencil, but these are all prints of his work. He's been here for about 4 years now.
Now, when you say hot tea,
I mean tea. Like you drink it.
tea.
Yeah, and then he paints it like watercolor.
It's a wonderful, interesting ship. How did you enjoy your day on it?
I loved it. I've never been on a ship that also doubled as a museum. It was really an interesting and wonderful experience.
Well, you're absolutely right. It's fascinating, it's educational, it's also close by, which is something that's important.
That is awesome.
It's the inner harbor, and folks ought to think about taking a day trip down here.
Definitely.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed your time in the Constellation. I did as well. We're with Laura Sanford this morning. We're still at the Chestertown Fair and Farmers Market. Laura, we see some beautiful looking plants here. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you raise them, where you grow them.
Well, I live in Centerville. Most of my stuff is native, although I do have some non-native things, and I also do organic vegetables in the spring. And I grow them all at my house. This is actually my second job and kind of a hobby of mine. And then I come here at the farmers market every weekend.
And so you're here through what, September, the
December.
fall, or December?
Yep.
December,
I am
okay.
here from now until December.
Now, and it's every Saturday. Can you give a shout out to the show?
Well, good morning, and come down to the farmers market and get some native plants.
We're with Sarah. Sarah, tell us a little bit about all this colorful jewelry that we see here.
Right, well, it's a family business, so we all do our part. We do guitar pick bracelets, earrings, and necklaces. We do some dice bracelets, anklets, zipper earrings, fun jewelry.
And when you say a guitar pick bracelet, can you show us a guitar pick? Okay.
We take different kinds of guitar picks and we make bracelets out of them.
Okay, and a family business. Who else in the family is doing all this?
It's my mom, my dad, my sister, it's everybody.
Okay. Jackie, not only is there the USS Constellation that people can visit here, there's a number of other ships and historic ships collection in the Inner Harbor. There's the Chesapeake Lightship, which is just about a block away. There's a very interesting submarine. And there's also the USS Taney, which bills itself as the last ship afloat from World War II.
Wow.
The Taney was actually in Pearl Harbor in December 7, 1941. They were a few miles away from where all the bombs were, but they fired off a few shots. So there's a wonderful collection of ships to visit, not only the Constellation, but the Lightship, and the submarine, and the Taney.
Well, I'll definitely have to check those out.
It's a full day's worth of entertainment.
It does sound like it.
In beautiful downtown Baltimore at the Inner Harbor. Let's go back to the quarterdeck. Okay.
So one of the neat things about Sultana is that the historic boat was steered not with a steering wheel, which is what most people think of when you think of steering boat.
Right.
It was steered with a tiller. Just a 7-foot long lever, basically.
Okay.
And it's great when you have kids on the boat because I can put 5 or 6 kids on this tiller and they can steer the boat. Here, just move it like that.
Okay.
It controls a 16-foot tall, 3,200 pound rudder that steers the boat.
That's got some heft. I can
it
see
is,
why
it
it would
is a
take
solid piece of wood.
5 kids to do this.
It is a solid piece of wood. And when you're going, we're stationary now. Imagine when the boat's going 6 or 7 or 8 miles an hour. That's why you have this relieving tackle right here, because you can only do it with some sort of mechanical advantage to move it.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Sure, because you've got all the water pressure against the
yeah,
rudder.
absolutely. And that's how the original, it's amazing, when the original Sultana crossed the Atlantic, which it did at least on 3 occasions that we know of, they would have to have someone on this tiller, you know, not the same person, but someone would have to be manning the tiller, and sometimes those trips took 2.5 months.
So 24 hours a day, someone would be
back here. They'd probably do it in shifts of 4 hours.
Right.
The original boat had a crew of 25. So imagine this is a 53-foot long hull, which is the same size as a yellow school bus. So imagine 25 people living in a yellow school bus for 2.5 months, and that sort of gives you a sense of what we're talking about here.
So Drew, tell us about this. It's a cannon, a gun?
It's a half-pound swivel gun.
Swivel gun.
Sultana was a tax enforcement vessel, believe it or not, and this is one of the ways that she was able to actually enforce taxes. She had 8 of these guns. They're more anti-personnel weapons than ship-destroying guns. They would shoot shot, like a shotgun.
Okay.
These are actually reproductions that were cast from an actual 1768 Royal Navy gun that was brought up out of the Savannah River in Georgia. And they are fully functional replicas in every way. We fire them pretty much on every program with the kids.
Fire these with the kids?
Almost every day we fire these guys.
All right, so here we go, back forward. Tell us a little bit about the bow of the boat and some of the things that we see up there behind us.
You know, it's an interesting bow for us. The original Sultana didn't have a motor on it, obviously, because there were no motors around. We do have a motor because the kids have to get back and get on the bus. And the bow of Sultana was never meant to go into the waves. It was going with the waves because the wind was pushing it. So one of the interesting things about the bow of the boat is it's so bluff that if we ever actually have to try to go against the waves and against the wind, the whole deck becomes like an enormous water park of spray coming over the front, which if it happens in the summer, the kids love. If it happens in April or November, it's not quite as much fun.
When you say bluff, you mean it's like a flat front as opposed to more of a pointed front?
It's like a watermelon. Imagine the shape of a watermelon.
Okay.
And that's because when Sultana was built, she was a merchant ship, and the goal was to get as much cargo in her hull as you could, not necessarily to go super duper fast. So she is built voluminously. She is a lot of space inside for her length.
Crew, thank you so much for your time on board the Sultana, and we look forward to a cruise later this spring.
Thank you. You're welcome back anytime to go sailing, as is anyone who's watching this. You should come sailing too.
They certainly should. Jackie, that's our show for today. Didn't you love St. Michael's and Chestertown?
I did. It was absolutely beautiful.
They're such neat little towns, and again, as I said earlier in the show, it's only a day trip away if you haven't been there, but we're out of town, and we're also out of time. So that's our show for the day. It's Top of the Morning. I'm Steve Izant.
And I'm Jacqueline Massaro.
Thanks for watching. This has been Top of the Morning, and we'll see you next time.